away my real estate listings, or at least that's what the email said.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the email, you may have just heard from a friend that came out yesterday. People are panicking about the headlines, and today we're going to talk about it.
Welcome to the Influential Agent Podcast, where real estate entrepreneurs come to learn how to generate and convert more leads by using the latest in technology, social media, and lead generation systems. Here are your hosts, international speakers and veteran agents, Amber Joy and The Rook.
Oh, what is going on? Hey guys, we're excited to have you here. And before we get started, just let you know that today's episode is being sponsored by Sphere Influencer. It is the single most effective Sphere marketing strategy system to build relationships and to get more referrals than ever before. You can get more information at getsphereinfluencer.com.
Okay, today we're going to be covering all the latest changes for Facebook when it comes to your real estate listings. Now, there has been some misinformation already spreading quickly, so we wanted to come on and talk about it. This is something that a lot of the associations were emailing out yesterday, but we're going to be sharing what to worry about, what not to worry about, and even talk about some bonus things that you can do to market yourself in a whole new way. But this has got to be talked about.
Yeah, it was interesting that whenever you make changes, once you dove deep, because you took this, you're like, oh my gosh, let's find out what this is really about.
Because my phone was blowing up yesterday of people saying,
it's a scary thing.
did you see what Facebook did? What does that mean for us as marketers?
Facebook's taking away all my listings. Well,
Well, I
that's not
think
how
the
it works.
exact email they got was what, Jason? Something like, what was the exact
It said
headline?
it said Facebook changes policy on real estate listings.
And
That's
that's when
what
the
the email
phone
said.
started blowing up.
Yeah. So here's exactly what it said. I got it. Let me do my. Oh, you know what I can do is I'm gonna do.
And this isn't exactly what the email said.
No.
We want to give you exactly what Meta, also known as Facebook, is saying, because
Right.
it comes out slightly different from Meta than we heard in the emails for real estate, because of course they were making that real estate only related. But here's the actual thing that Meta said.
Here we go. Breaking news. I need my breaking news voice.
Starting on January 30th, 2023, Meta will no longer support the ability for all sellers to create vehicle and real estate/rental listings using the Facebook business page, along with the Vehicles tab and Manage Inventory tab in markets where this feature is currently available.
Okay.
So
Very good. Very good.
basically, I appreciate that. It's a button I press. So basically, Facebook is no longer allowing listing for cars and real estate/rental listings using a Facebook business page, though it will allow individuals to create person-to-person listings on Marketplace. So instead, it's pushing businesses to advertising solutions. Basically, it's
Shocking.
Facebook saying, hey, you know that free advertising you were doing for your listing on business pages? Yeah, that's no longer going to happen because we need money.
Well, exactly, and that's essentially what this entire change is about. They
Yeah,
want you to pay. If you're going to advertise, you got to pay to play. They want you
right.
to therefore they're taking away the ability for business pages to put anything in the marketplace
hmm
without an ad, pretty much. Now, you will still be able to have free person to person listings. When they say person to person, what that means is you can still list in the marketplace, but it's under your personal profile. They consider that person to person instead of business to person. Now, you can still post your. What's so funny is, Jason, they've always said don't mix your personal page with business, but right
Yeah,
here they're giving us permission in writing from their own company, from Meta,
yeah.
saying, oh, it's fine to post your real estate and rental listings as a person from your personal profile. You just can't do it as a business.
But
So
I think
that's exciting, actually.
it is because we've always kind of had to figure out how much business can we talk about on our personal page. But I see it a little bit differently. Facebook's just, again, wanting to capture that ad money. So it's like, okay, businesses can't post. You got to post as a person, but you have to post as a person in Marketplace.
Yeah.
Versus you
Yeah.
posting about your listing on your personal page, which you can still do as long as you're doing it around 20% of the time.
But here's the thing that I think most people are confused about. And I
Hmm.
think if you hear me out right now, this should clear up a lot of miscommunication. This entire change is based around Facebook, or what's now known as Meta, Marketplace. It's not based on you can never post on your newsfeed about your featured listing again. So that's what's got us freaked out, because we as realtors think about the word listing as a literal listing or a house for sale. And you can't think of it that way
Yeah.
when it comes to this term, because Facebook doesn't think the same way we do as realtors.
It's
To
so semantics,
Facebook,
basically what you're saying. It's
but
it's that
semantics can
listing.
really throw us off. Like, it's
Yeah.
really
No, I
making
agree.
people misinterpret
Totally.
what this is. Because
Yeah.
when you think of listing from the Facebook point of view, that means you have literally listed an item for sale in the marketplace. That's what a listing is to Meta or to Facebook. So here we were panicking as agents, like, we can never talk about our listings again on Facebook. That's not what they're saying. They're saying when it comes to Facebook Marketplace, you may no longer list something on there, whether you can see it applies to auto, a car, a house, no different than you list your couch for sale. They're not going to let auto or realtors do it for free anymore on the marketplace from their business page. They
Ain't that
want you
a
to pay for it.
ain't that a bummer?
But you have to rethink about the word listing. That's what's
Yeah.
messing everybody up. I mean, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's it's always an interesting evolution. I mean, I've been doing Facebook ads in real estate since 2010. And the fact that they're just now, like, if you're just new to the industry, you're like, oh man, I just got,
Just
my
got
listings
here.
and I was posting. I just got here. I was posting on my business page and I'm
Right.
still trying to figure out, do I need a business page and then a personal page? I'm still trying to figure that out. What is this? So it can be a bit daunting for those of us that have been here for a while. This is just an evolution. This is just a change in the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Kind of like we experienced back when Facebook got popped for all those, equal housing things. And now they have the special ad category ads, which is throwing everybody for a loop. And so I just think this is as a refining of, or a continuation of that refinement from that point.
Yes, and I think let's elaborate on that slightly so that people are super clear. Unless
Mm.
they change the wording or add to this rule, as it stands currently, it does not mean that you'll no longer be able to put a featured listing. When I say listing from the real estate standpoint, not Meta, it's not saying that, hey, I can't feature one of my brand new listings on my personal or my business page. It's not saying that at all. What it's saying is, from Facebook's point of view, you can't list something in the marketplace, meaning you can't list your listing in the marketplace under the business page. That doesn't mean you can't go to your Facebook business page and just make a general post bragging about or featuring your new listing, because that's not the same thing as listing it in the marketplace. Does
I
that make
think that's
sense? That's
such
the clear distinction.
That's so good, because that is going to help a ton of people in understanding that difference. Facebook is not saying no more posting about listings on business pages. They're not saying
No.
that.
It's just like the auto dealerships will still, because I keep bringing that up because the rule applies to both businesses,
Yeah.
actually. The same announcement. They're doing that. It doesn't mean that car dealership or that realtor, the car dealership can't go on their business page and literally feature every single new car they just got on the lot. They're not
Right.
saying that. You can't create a listing for the car that's for sale in the marketplace. That's the difference between the two. And the public was kind of relieved, not realtors and not auto people, but the public was kind of relieved, because businesses, not only was Facebook, this was done for two reasons. One, you
Mm,
already said Facebook wants their money.
right.
Okay. They
Yeah, they
want
do.
you to get zero free advertising as a business. You run an ad or you don't get to put it in the marketplace because
Yeah.
realtors were posting those suckers in the marketplace like no other. That's been a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
strategy, not of ours, but a lot of other realtors. And they're just
Mhm.
saying no more. Whereas, Jason, tell us the other side of it. Some of the consumers were relieved because businesses abuse this.
Because that's what we do. I mean,
Not us, but
well, no, I'm just saying is I'm thinking, let me talk as a marketer real quick. All right. If there is a way for me to get more eyeballs on my product, then I'm going to exploit it. It's so funny that you bring that up because, back in the day, Craigslist was the way to advertise. Well, I figured out a way where we could publish and republish our listings on Craigslist. We had like 80 to 120 advertisements a day, and I was pushing out everybody on Craigslist, and that's
you
what.
were abusing something?
No,
What?
I was just maximizing it. But
Right.
that's what we did. And to me, Facebook Marketplace has kind of become that. It has always been promoted as a community where people can get together and sell stuff. And now it's been flooded by marketers, realtors, car
'Cause why not?
dealerships, the
Yeah.
Amazon arbitrage people that are like just flooding it.
But
And
there
so
was
I
two
understand it from the corporate side. It does make
but there was two
sense.
reasons. One, Facebook wants their money. The second
Yeah.
reason I was pointing you to is that businesses are abusing it consumer wise too, because they'll
Yeah.
like a car dealership might list that they have a car for $1
No,
in the
yeah.
marketplace when really, have you ever clicked on one of those? They're putting it's $1. But I've seen furniture places do this too. And you're like, oh my gosh, $1. You click on it and you're like, it's not $1. So they were abusing the
What?
system. And that was really frustrating to the consumers. So for
Yeah.
those two reasons, Facebook wants their money and it was being abused as far as accurate information from businesses. So they're just taking those options away from business pages altogether.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
Right. So I hope that helps you guys to clarify on what the ruling really means. Don't
Mhm.
think of it as listings the way we think of it. Think of it as how Facebook thinks of listings,
That's
and that
good.
is when you're posting things inside of marketplaces. So
Yeah.
Jason, tell us, what are some other ways, according to Meta, that
Yeah.
we can reach buyers and renters with our listings on Facebook that is allowed?
Well, you can continue reaching, and again, we say vehicle because it's another massive industry, but for real estate and rental listings from the business page can't be done in the marketplace, but you can still go after them in other ways. So create market listings from your personal profile. That's one. You can create marketplace listings, obviously for homes for sale, home rentals from your personal profile. That's open. You can do as much as you want.
Right. Now, I do want to say though, a lot of people are going to start going, okay, well, no big deal. I can no longer post listings in the marketplace from my business page. So I'll start doing it from my personal page because
Yeah,
they did
but
say literally that that's allowed.
yeah.
But can I tell you something that's not on the Facebook announcement? You still have compliance that you need to be thinking about if you post things to your personal page. Number one, you better check with your broker. Is that allowed?
Right.
Because a lot of brokers don't want you advertising things from your personal page because they can't control the information that's on your personal page. So if you
Yeah.
went buck wild over the weekend,
What?
you went buck wild over the weekend.
Buck wild. That was like way loud.
You went
Sorry
buck
about
wild
that.
over the weekend and you've got some photos of you and your friends having some fun on that same Facebook profile page that's attached to that business listing. It makes the broker look bad, So
Well, and yeah, and in addition to that, there are social media things that brokers have in place that if you are like that, then that affects your license with that brokerage.
And they probably have some policies built around that, so check on that. But then also think about the state and NAR compliance around the
Yes.
fact that if you're going to advertise on your personal page, which by the way, as far as Facebook Marketplace, hey, they just gave you permission to, Meta did, but you
Right.
still have to have compliance when it comes to NAR and your local and state associations, which would mean if you're going to start advertising from your personal profile, you better have disclosures of all the things that you have to have on any advertisement. Now,
Yeah.
that varies by state, but overall, according to NAR, you've got to state who your broker is, right? You've got to have your we're with Texas, but if we're speaking to the whole United States right now,
Mhm.
and then of course Canada listens sometimes too, you got to look at, if I put out an advertisement anywhere,
Right.
what are the things that I'm required to put on there when I do? And those same things would need to go on that listing, because even though it's from a personal page, it is still a real estate advertisement, which means
Mhm.
you got to have your compliance on there.
I think that's always the biggest disconnect for a lot of agents, is understanding that the rules of social media are no different when it comes to advertising their listings. And
Yeah,
even more
true.
so is because you're going on the internet, and the internet goes across the planet. So I have to put what state that I'm licensed. Those are there's actually a little bit more. If I'm sending out postcards, which we don't believe in, but anyway, as an example,
Whole nother podcast.
whole nother podcast. I think it was like the whatever last podcast. But anyway, if I'm sending out postcards, those postcards are going inside of my state. There's a different set of rules versus, hey, I'm putting something online. It's just different. It just is. So I think it's also a good point to bring up.
Yeah, you got to be compliant. And we don't usually think about that when it comes to our personal pages. So I hope that clears up what the change means. Now, this change takes effect January 30th, 2023. So you do have a little bit of time. But I wanted you to notice that in the comments and in the description for this podcast, you will see a link where Meta, also known as Facebook, has put together a resource link for anybody in the real estate business. It's called Real Estate Businesses for Facebook. So you can basically click on that link, find it in the description, and that will give you a bunch of resources to how to use Facebook to the best of its ability for Facebook as a whole. But I know earlier I was just teaching a class literally today on 5 strategies that you can use to generate referrals on Facebook. And not a single one of them was this. Okay, it wasn't creating listings in Marketplace. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but there are tons of other ways to use Facebook other than just the Marketplace. And just to give you one of them today, because we don't have time to do a full class, is you guys interact with your sphere of influence. That's what you should really be using your personal page for, is interacting with, along with many other things, but care about your sphere of influence, see what's going on in their life. And you're going to get more referrals from that than you will any other tactic on Facebook.
Now, I've got a question, and I'm sure some other people have this question. What if I've already got listings on Marketplace? What happens?
Very good. Well, if you have any existing listing on Marketplace, again, not on your business page, just as a general post, we're not talking about that. You don't have to remove those. That was not written anywhere in the article that I could find. But if it's a true listing in the Marketplace that happens to be the listing is the listing. In other words, it was a house for sale and it was from your business page posted into Marketplace, then you can choose to, on your own, by January 29th, 2023, to download that information, or do nothing and just know that on January 30th, 2023, Facebook is going to delete all of those for you.
So I have the ability to do it myself, or Facebook's basically going to do it for
Or they're going to do it for you.
They're just gonna
So
do it for you. Yeah, they're
don't
gone.
panic. You don't have to delete them. But if let's say there was some information that you need to gather from some of those things that you put on there,
Yeah.
if there is anything you need, go get it down on before January 29th. Otherwise, just let them delete them for you. That's less work for you.
Yeah, I think that marketing listings is always something that there's always been a certain way to do it. And I like the fact that for a time, we had this opportunity to go on Facebook Marketplace and put our listings, but there are other ways to do it. I think you hit a really great one. Obviously, is what we believe is focusing on your sphere and letting them know. I think that most times that we feel like, oh, I got a listing, let me blast it out to my, my audience to see who's going to respond to it. And so that's just something else. Can we talk about that just for really quick as far as other ways that people could potentially market their listings? Because I know we don't want to be on here forever, because that's like
we can do a couple quick ones if there was something you had on your heart to share.
I do. I think that it always has to be, I'm just going to speak to what I know and what I see most agents doing, and that's emailing out their listing. Because I get them. I get like 3 a day. And here's what I will tell you. And I'm specifically talking to you guys, the ones that are emailing me. And your names are, I'm kidding. I'm not going to say their names. But, if you're going to email out your listing, I know that there are some tools that your brokers provide and they make it super easy and it looks pretty and it's a flyer. It's not a great experience. It's typically a picture that I can't click on with a whole bunch of information that's too small for me to read. And it's just basically a picture. And then there's others where you can click on it and go see it. I just think that, and again, maybe it's because of the way we think of the way we train, there's got to be a more effective way to tell me about a listing. Now, I could go deep in tagging people in your system by zip code or what have you. I just want you to be aware that sending pictures out of a house, basically just a digital flyer, isn't going to get the responses that you want to get. Make it an experience. Either make it a YouTube video or make it some kind of interactive piece where I can go in. I think Matterport.
Video.
Yeah, video. I'll say that, video. Make it an interactive piece. The Matterport dollhouse effect, drone video, walkthrough. But if you tell me everything about the listing, why do I need to reach out? It's always been one of my pet peeves. Don't tell me everything about the listing, then I don't need to contact you.
Well, and I think that what you're saying is an amazing thing, but even imperfect action, even if you only had photos, let's say they really love the photos that they saw.
Yeah.
Then lead them to a link to get in that post. Again, this isn't a listing and marketplace we're talking about. We're just talking about a regular post. Is that correct, Jason?
Or
okay, because
email.
even though you can list in marketplace under your personal profile, it's highly effective to just post a regular post with even photos if you don't have video, but then I usually leave the price out and then leave the link to the listing, because if they really like those photos, and don't leave all of them, like you said, just leave some of the top sexy ones that really get them wanting to get more information, have them click on the link. And the best way to make this a lead generator for me is, like you said, use video. But when they click on that and they go to your website, it shouldn't lead to a general search or the front page of the website. It should lead to that exact listing on your website. How do you find it? Well, you go to your own website, search for the listing, grab that URL at the top and shove that sucker into the post. And then when they click on it, it's going to the exact same thing they came for. I see a lot of agents putting it to their front page. You guys, they're not going to search for that listing once they get there. Make it easy. Send them directly to the listing you just posted about. But after viewing a few photos, you should have what's called forced registration, so that for them to get every bit of information, they have to put in their information. Now, how does that work, Jason, and why should they do that?
Man, I just went off. You're like, want to talk about a quick
that's
idea.
the top. That's really the way to generate leads.
You just laid everything out. That's impressive. Okay.
So what's a forced registration? What does that mean, and why are we doing it?
I need to back
Just
up
really
a little
quickly.
bit because you mentioned like 5 things.
Well, that's
First
how my
and
brain
foremost,
works. I just boom, 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 boom. Let's go. Let's get some leads here.
Such a boss, man. Love it.
Let's create a whole funnel. Let's go.
First and foremost, sending people to the very first page of your website is a horrible experience. And you're going to hear us say this a lot, experience. It's about the experience. So when I click on a listing, or no matter where that listing is, Facebook, email, whatever, your Instagram, link in bio, if you're telling me about a house, man, I better see that house when I click on it, not the front page of your website. Now, I will tell you this, because again, it's like so hard to talk about one thing when I talk about like 17 others.
Yeah, you got to make it. Yeah,
If
gotta
you
just
are
call it out.
masking your website, meaning no matter what link I
yeah.
go to, it still says, sell your home now in Dallas, Texas, -.net.com. No matter where I go, that's
No
called
matter
a
what
masked
page.
website, and it will always send people to the front page of their website, which
Yeah,
again
so
is a
don't
horrible
mask your
experience.
website.
Don't mask your website. Okay, got that. Next. When it comes to giving people information, if you never ask for business, you are never going to get business.
Yeah,
So
so
forced
true. Say that again.
registration. Okay, I'll say it again. Wait. I'm going to say
Give
it
me a
again.
hallelujah.
If you're going, I'm sorry. If you
That was
never,
a creepy voice.
Oh, my bad.
Here we go. I'm sorry. Here we go.
But that's like,
If you never ask for business, you're never going to get business. Okay, is that better?
Okay. All right. So why forced registration? And here's what you don't do. You don't put your feelings about forced registration onto the masses. This is a numbers game. So
Yeah.
forced registration ideally is showing them 2 to 3 listings for free before you ask for the email. That tends to be the highest rate
but
of
in this
conversion.
scenario, they're going straight to a listing.
But in this scenario, they're going straight to a listing. They're interested, and go ahead and ask right away.
Yeah, and when you do that, you guys, what's so cool is they can see the listing and all the photos, and within about 5 seconds, that's when a pop-up comes of a forced registration where they can still see the information that they seek right behind. It's just
Yeah.
barely blurred out by the box, so they know that information is right there. And you're asking for their information in order to see it. Now, a lot of people say this to me, Jason, and you after we train. They're like, I turn that off on my website, because a lot of websites you may not even realize with your company
you
or
can
whoever
turn
you're
it off.
using. You could turn it on or off, and a lot of people didn't even know it existed. But in the settings, you can,
Yeah.
or you hope that you can. Not all websites, but if it's a really good one, it does. And a lot of people will say, I turn that off because people told me that because I forced the registration, they never use my site anymore. And that's a really, and this is the other thing they say. I know when I go to a website and
Yeah.
that happens,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you my information. So I'm not going to put other people through that too. Hey, listen, it's your business.
Sure.
Do it how you want to do it.
But
And I will acknowledge that you are correct. Probably 50% of people will be annoyed that you asked for their information. I'm making that number up.
I was
but
going to say,
let's
that's not
just
what the
say
data
it's
says. But
let's just say it's high, and every other person gets annoyed by that, and they leave your site and they're like, forget it, I'm not going to do it.
yeah.
Here's the genius part. Who cares if 50% left when the other 50% gave you their information, is now a new hot lead that
Yeah.
you never would have had if you wouldn't have asked for it at all, because you're
Yeah.
afraid of offending people, which is
Dang,
worse.
That's good. So good.
Yeah, so which is worse? So I say that's more highly effective than just spamming people to death in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Having said that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with listing in the marketplace, but now you're aware of how you're allowed to do it and not allowed to do it as of January 30th.
Well, it's just like we say, data over drama. What does the data say? Don't worry about the vocal minority when it comes to your marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be like, I get people that unsubscribe from my email list and are like, please stop sending me. And they might even say something nasty just every once in a while, rarely
Is
ever,
that
but
how you hear it in your head?
in my head. But I'm not going to stop emailing everyone else that I'm providing
Yeah.
value to just because a few didn't like it. That doesn't make any sense at all. So let's not do that with Facebook either.
Babe, any final words on the Facebook changes that people should know about before we end?
No, I think that's about it. If you are just joining us, go ahead and go back and listen. I think we clarified exactly what it is and what it isn't, but feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, just remember that the best way to utilize Facebook is to relationship build with your sphere of influence. So if you would like more information on that, along with many other ideas on how to explode referrals with your sphere, just head on over to getsphereinfluencer.com. We have a free training on demand of the exact formula we use to explode referrals.
Nice. Now, guys, if you like what you hear, do us a favor. Leave us a review or whatever, 5 stars. We love those. If you didn't enjoy it, then you don't have to leave a review. That's fine. It's not going to hurt us. But it really helps us out.
Yeah. And lastly, subscribe to our YouTube channel for great content on how to grow and scale your real estate business while still living a life of joy and prosperity.
All right, guys, have a good one.